Hey, what's up, guys? Coffee and Crypto here with another episode coming at you November 4th, 2019. And as we start moving into quarter four this year, I think we're seeing a lot of positivity, a lot of new news, a lot of good news, certainly some negative news here and there as well, but it seems like an overwhelming amount of the Bitcoin space is being pushed by positivity, excitement, and a lot of bullish fever. We'll see if that holds. I think Q4 generally is very strong for Bitcoin, as we've seen in prior years, some stronger than others. But coming off of this previous bear run, I think we've got about as good a shot as in 2017 to see some major hype action and Bitcoin test new highs. So right now we're just in a period of consolidation. Honestly, the TA guys are kind of all over the place because I think it has to be a little bit based off your own sentiment and what you believe at this point. Yeah, I think the TA right now is not going to be super accurate because the volume's dwindling, the range is tightening. One large piece of news to the positive or negative side could flip this thing on its head in a heartbeat. So I think what is great is that the TA guys are all realizing that we're bound for a large move. So let's look at a couple other just news points going on right now. We got Ron Paul today tweeting out that he always does some positive things for Bitcoin. He's definitely huge in terms of helping spread the idea of Bitcoin and what it can do in terms of financial freedom to individuals who are ignorant to cryptocurrency, and hopefully helping adoption. But he tweeted out, "A wealthy person gifts you $10,000. You get to choose in which form you'll accept the gift, but there's a catch. You must keep the gift in the form that you choose for 10 years without touching it. Would you take $10,000 in Federal Reserve notes, $10,000 in gold, $10,000 in Bitcoin, or $10,000 in U.S. Treasury bonds?" 2% took Federal Reserve notes, 6% took 10-year Treasury bonds, 38% went for gold, and 53% took Bitcoin. This kind of blown up right now. It's already got 22,098 votes. Still has 20 hours left. The likes are just popping off right now as I'm looking at it. I'm going to go ahead and like that as well. But yeah, that's pretty cool to see more and more politicians, from U.S. congressmen to Ron Paul and presidential candidates to lower level city council members, people advocating on Bitcoin's behalf, even though I think a lot of us Bitcoin maximalists would have to say that government and Bitcoin's future does not necessarily go hand in hand, nor do we want it to go hand in hand. But I think a lot of it is good advocacy, and I think it's done for the right reasons, so we'll take it, Another thing I just saw today, which was kind of cool, Ribbon Reaper, he's got his own technical signal for charting. And he's a TA guy that's gotten pretty popular off of calling a few of the larger predictions that had 20, 30, 40% rallies. And he's saying that basically we're lining up for another one. When I look at this, it doesn't do much for me. You really have to take the time to read into and learn what his technical indicator is built off. It's a Bitcoin to US dollar perpetual inverse swap contract tracker. That's primarily based off of BitMEX. He's had some success with it. I think BitMEX does have a lot of quality traders and a lot of people that have done well in the space over a number of years, and I think a lot of those people on BitMEX are trading based off sentiment, social media, and things they're hearing in the space. So I do think having some sort of tracker that's looking at BitMEX and where those guys are leaning is probably a pretty strong indication. We'll see if that comes to fruition this next week or so. We've got Bitcoin obviously seeing a lot of positive news out of China. If you boil it down a bit, I don't think that Chinese President Xi Jinping was really saying, hey, everyone go out and buy Bitcoin. I think he was saying that China is diverting a lot more efforts into blockchain technology and also blockchain technology for their own uses. I think a lot of us want blockchain to be used in a decentralized fashion, and Chinese blockchain currency will most certainly be heavily centralized and regulated by the Chinese government. But I think hopefully opening up more avenues for Chinese to use Bitcoin as an investment tool should hopefully be a part of that. So it can be good for both, even though Bitcoin there may never be used as much of a currency and really see that type of use, because I think it will be heavily tracked, and there will be fees and the normal investment taxation by the Chinese government. But with an asset as strong as Bitcoin these last 10 years, I think a lot of people would love to use it as a store of value and an investment tool. So I think it's positive. The Forbes 30 Under 30 Summit was in Detroit this last weekend, and Ford, BMW, a couple of the other automakers were there, like Honda and Renault. They were talking about blockchain, vehicle identity, proof of concepts that track the entire life of a car and, knows what's going on in terms of repairs needed, things like that, will only make those companies stronger and more streamlined in tracking their vehicles, how well they're doing, maybe how they need to change quality or things down the line. The other thing that I think is very positive for the U.S. is, all these new mining facilities popping up that are very, very serious in scale. I don't know if they're basing this off of where they're hoping price will be after the halving event. There's two interesting sides to that. In the U.S., we have Bitmain coming over, who's obviously got massive Chinese farms already, and they're going to build a 50-watt mining farm in Texas. It's very, very bullish for Bitcoin and U.S. crypto. Also, we've got a old powerhouse in Montana that is being reused and refurbished for Bitcoin mining. Looks like that's going to be taking place in the next year or two. I think it's going to take them a while to rebuild it and get it going. But again, very interesting that we're seeing more mining companies open up in the U.S., where historically we've expected the cost of electricity to be far too high. So I think they're definitely thinking that the halving and future price is going to support that. We'll see. So I'm going to leave you guys with some sentiment from local YouTubers on how everyone's feeling in the beginning of November, and go from there. So you guys have a good week.
This means that Bitcoin is consolidating and is gearing up for the next big move. And so where are we going in this big move? Well, I've said this before. I do believe that if we were to see a bigger continuation move out of this bigger 40% move, then something like this is what I would expect. And this puts us at somewhere along the lines of $11.5 thousand. And I'm just going to keep to that. I do believe that before the end of November, we are probably going to initiate that move.
Basically up to here, you are looking at about that $13,885 level, or we might as well just round it to 14K, right? So that's why I'm not saying it's going to happen today or tomorrow or even this month, but you could see right here, essentially by the end of December, early January, you are looking for a massive move. And considering that we've been supported by the $8,275 level, I don't think we're going to go any lower than that. So I would say that around 8.2 to 8.3K is the absolute, bottom short to midterm. And then I do believe we are looking for a massive pump when, I don't know, but I do have a target of over Yeah, $13,885.
On yesterday's stream, I was pointing it out to you guys. I've seen nothing change structurally here yet from a bearish perspective. For me, we're still flush underneath the old level of old support, which is, at least for the time being right now, acting as new resistance. If we are not able to eclipse this zone, consolidate above, and then look to move higher, my friends, this to me looks like a rejection at a zone where you tentatively look to see rejection at. Old support becoming new resistance, then rejection. And if our old support down here cannot hold for a new double bottom, right? Test up, test back down. You'd look for a double bottom for that last leg of hope. But if we don't hold a double bottom support here, my friends, dropping down into the low $6,000 region seems like a very high probability, in my opinion. Let's get this crypto.